Good morning and welcome to day 3 of ceremonies here at the Lowry. The congregation is gathered here in the Lyric Theatre to give congratulations to the distinguished students of Salford University. Today 3 ceremonies will take place in which students from the School of Built Environment, Salford Business School, Salford Law School and the Revin Centre will receive their degrees. In just a few moments, nearly 400 graduates from the School of Built Environment and Salford Business School will be presented to the Chancellor of Salford University, Professor Sir Martin Harris. Each of the students will receive a certificate along with a limited edition print by acclaimed Salford artist Harold Riley. The vocational nature of many of the courses in the School of Built Environment attracts most graduates into the construction industry as building surveyors, construction managers, housing officers, project managers, quantity surveyors and site managers. Most UK graduates choose to remain in the northwest of England, although Dubai has attracted some this year. Salford Business School graduates choose employment from a variety of sectors. Graduates from vocational occupations are keen to find employment in areas such as accountancy, business analysis, consultancy, finance, human resources, management, marketing and recruitment consultancy. Other occupations include accounts manager, auditor, charity fundraiser, events administrator, lecturer, logistics buyer and technical instructor. Some graduates choose to continue studying master's degrees or professional courses. There'll also be 2 honorary awards presented today to Peter Hunter and to Alan Budd. Peter Hunter receives his honorary award in recognition of outstanding services to architecture and regeneration for the benefits of local and national communities. He was on the steering group for the regeneration of Pier 8 at Salford Quays and helped influence the decision to build a theatre on the site. In 2006, Peter Hunter was awarded an OBE for his services to economic regeneration in Northern Ireland. He is a member of the Royal Institute of British Architects. Sir Alan Budd receives his award in recognition of outstanding services to the study of economics. In the early 90s, as the government's chief economic advisor, he chaired the group of economists known as the 7 Wise Men. He was knighted in 1997. Since 1999, he has been Provost of Queen's College, Oxford. He chaired the Gambling Review Body and was a member of the Burns Committee on the future of the BBC. Well, the ceremonies are just about to start. I'll be back later.
I declare this ceremony open for the conferment of degrees and diplomas of the University of Salford. A very warm welcome to this ceremony today in Salford's magnificent Lowry Centre, where we gather together to mark the award of degrees to so many of the university's graduands. It's a special pleasure for me to welcome not just the graduands themselves, but also their families and friends here to share their pride on this very special occasion. It gives me particular pleasure too to welcome two special guests being honoured today, of whom you will hear more shortly. Peter Hunter is not just a world-renowned architect, but it was his influence on the steering group for the regeneration of Pier 8 here at Salford Quays that decided that a theatre should be built and included the plans for the area, and that's why we're here today. Sir Alan Budd is an esteemed academic economist who served with exceptional distinction in senior positions at the Treasury. Sir Alan chaired the Gambling Review Body, on whose report the 2005 Gambling Act is based, and is a member of the advisory board of the Centre for the Study of Gambling here at the University of Salford. Much more about those two esteemed colleagues later. Today's ceremony marks a momentous day for our graduating students, celebrated not just here in Salford, but around the world. Last year, the ceremonies were viewed in 77 countries, as well as in 206 cities and towns here in the United Kingdom. This year also, our ceremonies are being filmed live and broadcast via the web stream around the world. Our university has a rich history stretching back to 1896. Back then, the Salford Working Men's College joined forces with the Pendleton Mechanics Institute to form the Salford Technical Institute, very shortly the Royal Technical Institute, Salford. The Duke and Duchess of York officiated at that opening ceremony, and Manchester's renowned Halley Orchestra turned out to accompany the proceedings. At that time, at the end of the 19th century, mechanical engineering, chemicals, textiles and construction dominated the industrial scene in and around Salford and led to the choice of principal subjects on offer. A century later, in 1996, the final merger took place to form the University of Salford as we know it today, with a very different range of subjects meeting contemporary needs. I first came to the University of Salford as a young lecturer in 1972, leaving 15 years later as Pro-Vice Chancellor. 5 years ago, I was delighted to be asked to return as Chancellor, and I'm only sorry that this is the last year of my 5-year term. During those 37 years since I first arrived, I've seen so many changes, almost all for the better. Most striking of all, perhaps, is the physical environment in which we are celebrating today. Here in the former Docklands, we find not only the splendid Lowry Centre, whose grand opening as a Millennium Project in 2000 I remember so well, but so much more besides. And there's one project in particular that I want to allude to, because it says so much about the value that a university can bring to its region when it adds its own strengths to those of its community and the nation. And that, of course, is Media City, fast now becoming a reality. The university has signed the contract to lease 100,000 square feet of property right next to the BBC. You probably saw it on the way in, right here on the waterfront at Salford Quays. And our university centre will open in 2011. This development is right at the heart of the biggest single investment in new media ever made in the United Kingdom, and will create so many new opportunities for our graduates and many others in such a wide range of fields. We've already signed a far-reaching partnership agreement with the BBC, which will open up new pathways into employment in the media industry and develop new talent within the region. The agreement includes new courses such as a BSc in digital technology, enterprise training for our students, and student placements within the BBC. This is just one example of our growing involvement with the Media City UK project at Salford Quays, and will greatly raise the university's profile in this most important of fields. And just as important is the university's ever-growing involvement with the NHS, and thereby with the health and well-being of our fellow citizens. Ever since that early work 40 and more years ago, and what we then called orthopaedic mechanics. The University of Salford has developed its courses and its research in ways that enable our graduates to serve the community locally, nationally, and internationally in an ever-growing range of aspects of healthcare. And just to mention one recent example where so many of the things a university can do come together, last November the university signed a £1.5 million three-year partnership agreement with Skoll, the global foot giant owned by SSL International, the Manchester-based consumer healthcare company. Through the Feet Matter partnership, the expertise of the University's Centre for Rehabilitation and Human Performance Research is being used to inform and contribute to the development of products at Skoll. The podiatry team from the School of Healthcare Professions are supporting Skoll in the provision of its knowledge and education strategy, and patients everywhere are benefiting. And now let me say just a word or two about the two schools whose students are graduating in this ceremony. The School of Built Environment has a proud history of producing graduates with the knowledge, understanding and skills to satisfy an increasingly demanding industry. The work that the school has done in engaging both with the construction industry and the wider built environment to ensure that both the content and flexibility of programs meet their high skills need has attracted much praise in the last year. The long-standing consortium-led bachelor's degree in construction management was recently praised by David Lammy, the Minister of State for Higher Education, who used it as an example of good practice when he addressed a major conference in London. While the new postgraduate diploma and masters in construction management, the first students from which graduate this year, was developed in direct response to the needs of industry and won a prestigious Northwest Construction Award in recognition of its responsiveness to industry. The school continues to work hard to ensure that its graduates will have the best chance of success, whether they are leaving us to begin their professional careers for the first time or have returned to us to continue their professional development. It has been a fantastic year on the research front for them also. Continuing the success of the last 15 years, the school and the Research Institute for the Built and Human Environment has topped the research power tables in the latest research assessment exercise. With 75 colleagues included, by far the largest submission in the UK, the school is firmly positioned to continue leading research and development in its field internationally for years to come. And finally, the school's outreach activities have flourished over the past year with significant new partnerships with the Building Research Establishment and the Royal Institute of British Architects. Due to its excellent track record, the school has been selected exclusively as the delivery arm of the Sustainable Building Policy for the North West Development Agency and has also been successful in securing lead position for the North West region in delivering sustainability, resource efficiency and capacity building over 3 years. And just a few words now about Salford Business School, whose students are also graduating today. This year has seen the business school focus on the creation of strategic partnerships to deliver cutting-edge postgraduate programs with and for key clients, demonstrating the school's commitment to working with employers to provide customized education and training programs. Two key partnerships that I'll mention are with Capita Simmons for their graduate training and with the Salford Primary Care Trust, assisting it to achieve its goal in relation to world-class commissioning, an obvious link with the major role the university now plays in its partnership with the NHS. The school's work, especially with the Management and Management Sciences Research Institute and the Informatics Research Institute, achieved very satisfactory outcomes in the research assessment exercise. The contribution of the school's academics to a number of submissions, in particular business and management studies, library and information management, and statistics and operational research, demonstrate the current emerging world-class and international excellence of the school's research. And finally, the school was proud to host the second annual Salford Business School lecture delivered by Brendan Barber, General Secretary of the Trade Union Congress. Given the problems the economy is experiencing, it was particularly appropriate to hear the views of such a key national figure on the challenges facing employers and employees and the ways by which these challenges can be met. Let me end as I began, by congratulating most warmly all those of you who are graduating today. You are now entering the next phase of your lives with your new qualification, hopefully helping you not just to gain personal satisfaction in what you do, but also enabling you to put back into society wherever that society may be, some of the knowledge and experience you have gained here at the University of Salford. As my own association of nearly 40 years with this university draws to a close, I would like to remind you that there is no such thing as a former member of the university. You, like me, are alumni, members of the worldwide network of Salford graduates for life. Graduands, I salute you. I now invite Professor Peter Collins to present Sir Alan Budd for the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, Salford graduates, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Sir Alan Budd. Alan Budd combines being one of the UK's most distinguished and effective public servants with being one of its most powerful academic intellects. Only the briefest summary of his achievements in either sphere is possible in presenting him to you today, at today's graduation ceremony. The apogee of his career as a public servant, working for the OECD and then most substantially for the Treasury, was probably his masterly handling of the UK withdrawal from the exchange rate mechanism, thus, in many people's estimation, enabling Her Majesty's government to seize sustained economic victory from the jaws of apparent defeat. His numerous academic honours and accomplishments, including professorships throughout the English-speaking world, culminated in a period of exceptional success at Oxford when he was appointed Provost of the Queen's College in 1999. In this role, as I know personally, he was not only exceptionally respected, he was also exceptionally loved. His connection with Salford came about mainly as a consequence of the work he undertook when in 1999 he was asked to chair a government body charged with reviewing all aspects of gambling law. He produced an exemplary report clearing up anomalies, addressing new regulatory needs, and judiciously proposing to extend somewhat consumer choice while retaining and in many ways strengthening appropriate consumer protections. The Centre for the Study of Gambling had just appointed me its new director, and I first got to know Sir Alan through the process of giving evidence to the review body. All who were involved or witnessed his work in this capacity bear testimony not only to his formidable clarity of intellect, depth of understanding, and mastery of complex issues, they also bear witness to his exceptional courtesy, open-mindedness, and kindliness. Although the conclusions of Sir Alan's report concerning casinos became mired in a somewhat hysterical public controversy, reflecting the moral anxiety which the idea of gambling continues to evoke in many people, the more important point is that the bulk of his proposals were incorporated into the new Gambling Act of 2005, In particular, government, for the first time, now has the power, and industry has the responsibility to ensure that commercial gambling is carried out in a socially responsible way. In particular, resources now have to be put in place to ensure that there is adequate research, education, and treatment to prevent people from gambling compulsively or excessively, and to ensure that if they do get into trouble with gambling, expert help is freely available to them and their families. Early on, Sir Alan most graciously and generously agreed to serve as a member of the advisory board to Salford Centre for the Study of Gambling, and in that capacity, he continues to provide great and illustrious service to our university. The last time Sir Alan was in the news was in connection with the investigation of an allegation of misconduct by the then Home Secretary. I mention this only because I suspect what many of you will remember of that incident are the extraordinary combination of moral qualities which characterized Sir Alan's whole handling of that affair. Thus, he combined intellectual thoroughness with exceptional sensitivity, iron integrity, and an obvious basic human decency. Chancellor, I present for the degree of Doctor of Science, Honoris Causa, Sir Alan Budd.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Science, Honoris Causa. Many congratulations.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, Salford graduates, ladies and gentlemen. I am most grateful to this distinguished and enterprising university for the great honour it has accorded me in awarding me an honorary degree. I do not quite recognise myself from the exceptionally kind words of Professor Peter Collins, but I greatly enjoyed listening to them. I have been most fortunate in my life in the tasks that have engaged me. To the extent that I have achieved any success, I owe it mainly to the fact that I was born in a year of very few births and have therefore benefited from weak competition throughout my life. I hope that Peter Collins will allow me to congratulate him in turn on his outstanding role as director of the Centre for the Study of Gambling, which, thanks to him, is rightly regarded as a world-class centre of excellence. I would like to congratulate all those of you who are receiving degrees today, and I want to make one special point to you. I calculate that this is the 14th degree ceremony that I have attended, but it is in fact the first at which I myself have received a degree, even though I have been entitled to 3 of them, though one of those was really cheating. And I say this not because I am proud of it, but because many years later I am rather ashamed of it. I now realize that the idea of a degree ceremony is not just to recognize the achievement of the people who are graduating, but to provide an opportunity to share the celebration with those without whom the achievement would not have been possible, particularly the members of your family whose support, care, and sacrifice have brought you here today. So I hope you will allow me to offer congratulations, not just to you who are receiving degrees, though you certainly deserve congratulations, but also to your family and friends. Thank you.
I now invite Professor Peter Brandon to present Peter Hunter for the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, members of staff, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. On occasions like this, it is not often that I can ask the audience to look around them and see the results of the vision and drive of our esteemed honorary graduate. This is an exception, and we can say with some confidence that if it were not for the person standing before us, this entertainment complex and the wider development of the Salford Quays would not have happened. When I first came to this area in 1985, the whole of the Salford docks were surrounded by a huge boarding, which was advertising that this was an enterprise zone. You couldn't see very much, but if you had peeped through the barricades, you would have observed a scene of some devastation. The docklands were hardly used except for scrap metal storage. The buildings were decrepit and in a very bad state of repair, and the whole area provided an image that you see in one of those video games where aliens pop out and start shooting at you. It would have taken an optimist to the highest order and a visionary who could engage with the impossible to see that in this mess something exceptional could be born. Fortunately, a modern-day prophet came along at the right time and persuaded a whole raft of people, organisations, firms, local authorities, government and others to see the potential of this dark and dreary site. The local authority had tried to sell the docks, but I'm told the best offer they had was from a scrap metal merchant who was willing to take it off their hands for £1 million. Fortunately, the authority also had their own visionaries, and together with our honorary graduate, they worked with central government to obtain seed corn funding for the demolition and infrastructure work required to get things started. The rest is history. From an initial investment of £30 million, that is, the area was attracted well over £1 billion of inward investment. We sometimes criticise the way governments choose to spend our money, but there can be no doubt that in this case, all taxpayers got their money back with interest. There'll be some of you in the audience of a certain age who will remember a Simon and Garfunkel song with regard to the architect Frank Lloyd Wright. In that song, there was a line which said, "Architects may come and architects may go, but never change a point of view." Here is a case where an architect not only changed a point of view, but in fact, many views. This architect has transformed this particular area, but more than that, he has transformed the image of the city and its people. It's a remarkable achievement. I am, of course, talking about our world-renowned Honorary Graduate Peter Hunter. You may be interested to know that as a celebration at the time of construction, when it was finished, I understand the City Council had a time capsule lowered into the ground with the intention it be opened in the future. I hope they have more luck than the good citizens of Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania, who did a similar thing in 1962, but when they came to open it, after the allotted 25 years, they found that all the people who knew where it had been buried had now passed on, and nobody knew where to find it. Apparently, the ceremony had to be cancelled. Mind you, I did read in the paper this week that Lord Sebastian Coe has buried a time capsule below the Olympic site. It's called Hackney. So who is this man to whom we owe so much? Well, he was born in Kensington, London, the son of Harry and Pat, moved to Welwyn Garden City, was educated at King's School in Bath, and subsequently went to the Oxford School of Architecture, where his work spanned both arts and science. When he left, it was not long before he was partner in the London architectural practice of Bridgewater, Shepherd and Epstein, a firm which enjoyed a reputation for housing, education and university buildings with an emphasis on urban design and landscape. Peter Hunter's main experience has been with urban planning and the development of waterside areas and mixed-use developments. Starting from the development plan for the University of Lancaster and work at other universities, he moved to housing schemes for inner-city areas, which included ideas for the London Docklands, and then this led to ideas for the regeneration of major city areas. So you can see the connection with Salford Quays beginning to emerge. It was in 1981 that he initiated the work in the Quays, but in 1990 he set up his own practice to concentrate on the initial stages of development projects and the illustration of ideas and concepts. I have in my possession the original development plan for Salford Quays, signed by the great and good of Salford City Council. It says this: the potential of the site is there for all to see. What is not so evident is the way in which this potential can be realised. For this reason, the City Council commissioned the architects, Shepherd, Epstein and Hunter, to prepare a development plan for the area. We believe that this plan provides a tremendous opportunity to revitalise an historic area of the city and to develop new activities in the centre of the conurbation. Well, I think that even those esteemed councillors could not have foreseen the impact it would make. It is no exaggeration to say it has transformed the image of Salford. One enlightened concept, which came just a little later in the development, was for an arts and entertainment complex, and you are in it. In fact, the original scheme showed the Albert Hall plonked in the middle of this pier just to stimulate thinking. What we actually got was a building which was originally conceptualised by the late James Stirling, one of Britain's foremost architects, and which was concluded by his equally esteemed partner, Michael Wilford. This building was Britain's only major arts building for the millennium, and is the only millennium building which has established itself and is self-sustaining. It's a great tribute to the local artist, L.S. Lowry, and the whole Salford Quays environment has played host to the Commonwealth Games and other sporting events. It is now spawning the development of Media City UK, with the BBC and indeed this university at the heart of this new media activity. Of course, for our honorary graduate, it doesn't end there. Having developed London Docks and Salford Quays, he's been in much demand and has now worked his magic at the dockside development in Belfast. It must be wonderful for him to look back on his life and see the transformation he has led in so many communities, transforming them from derelict backwaters, quite literally, and making them something for the local people to be proud. These developments have an international reputation, and they inspire and incite people from all over the world. They provide much-needed employment, and in the words of Ruskin, they provide beauty, firmness, and delight. No doubt, Peter has many critics and cynics along the way suggesting that it wasn't possible to change these run-down areas. But he has persevered despite the doubts of those around him. Thank goodness he did. I'm reminded of the time Rose Kennedy was asked to open a rose garden in her honor in Boston, USA, at the age of 90. She was asked whether there was anything she was glad to miss at this time of life, and she said, without hesitation, peer pressure. We are all delighted that our honorary graduate today was not turned by the noises of the doubters, but went on regardless. Chancellor, I have much pleasure in presenting Mr. Peter Hunter, OBE, the distinguished visionary behind so much of what we see around us today, for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, and many, many congratulations.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduands, ladies and gentlemen. This is really a very overwhelming occasion for me, and a remarkable one for a particular reason, in that it's being held in a theatre. When I was leaving school, as often I think does happen, I wasn't really very sure what I should do. And the somewhat exasperated careers advisor said, well, didn't you do anything of difference in the school? And I said, well, I did build stage sets. Oh, well, he said, maybe you could become an architect. And not wishing to show ignorance, he said, okay, well, if you don't know what that is, go and find out about Inigo Jones, which I duly did. And I was a bit disappointed to find that he was really a very long time ago, born in the 16th century, mainly working in the 17th century. But I was intrigued that he had indeed built stage sets, albeit on a very grand scale, was responsible for all sorts of performances and constructions and advising on design of all sorts. But he'd also built some beautiful buildings, and in particular a masterpiece called the Queen's House in Greenwich, where he built something which was not only beautiful in terms of its proportions, its materials, the details, the colour, but he was equally interested in its setting and how it related to the landscape and the views to it and from it. And I thought, well, this perhaps is something I might become interested in. So that's how I got started. And then of great advantage to me was the fact that I, by necessity really, because it was another difficult time, as Professor Brandon has so eloquently described, to come to Salford and to work with a city council with whom you could not have anything but the utmost respect and admiration, really. Unemployment is extremely high, and their one focus was to create better employment conditions. So to that, all sorts of forces were joined together. And gradually, having got started, some momentum was achieved, confidence became along, and the economic cycle, of course, returned and helped. So it's this sort of idea of getting together, working together, collaboration, which to me, I think, has been the essence of what I have done. And in some ways, I think today, if only he could be here, or maybe he is, I don't know, but Inigo Jones would have reveled in the situation that all of you now, as graduands, face. He would have enjoyed so much the modern technology that you will use. He would have no doubt thought that the School of the Built Environment was exactly the right title for what he was interested in. And he would have run up huge expense bills in the think area and in all sorts of other things because he was an extravagant man. But above all, what he would have wanted was to try to encourage all of you, as I'm sure you will, to reimagine and to remake your environment over the next many years. So if I may, I would like to congratulate all of you today and everyone who has assisted and encouraged you to be here, and to wish you the very, very best enjoyment and success in the future. Many, many thanks.
We now proceed to the award of postgraduate and undergraduate degrees.
Ladies and gentlemen, postgraduate students will be presented individually for their awards. Chancellor, on behalf of the Research Institute for the Built and Human Environment, I present for the award of Doctor of Philosophy, Mukhtar Mefta Abusar. Tiroya Madimo Mapadi Raiseng Mogoltuane. Padmaswaran Raju. Stephen Ruddock. Chali Vorakulpipat. And John Wall.
Chancellor, on behalf of the Faculty of Business Law and the Built Environment, Salford Business School, I present for the award of Master of Science, Corporate Finance, Fanimilola O. Adiranti. Anacleto Andri Afonso. Hind Al-Ramadani. Nicholas Shivaji Amitov. Jeffrey Bangirana. Kian Chak Chan. Jeprel Yahya El-Akili. Christina Suk Ho Kong. Sian Ma. Apramba Minsa. Munif Shaibani. Anzen Zhang. And for Master of Science, Corporate Risk Management, Cynthia Dorette Buger. Eva Sangilwa Milingao. Samuel Wusu. Herong Wang. Zhen Yang. And for Master of Science, Financial Services Management, Yutindi Abini Badmihozo. Ziawin Nai. God's will, Washin Choro, Ozimaniki. Olwadmi Laula, Kikilomo, Oshudu. Wei Zo. And Lai Zhao. And for Master of Science, Investment Banking, Alexis Girkiushuakwa. And Hongaya Zhang. And on behalf of the School of Built Environment, I present for Master of Science, Accessibility and Inclusive Design, Helen Vivian Alden. Lorraine Anison. Susan Felton. Peter John Greenwood. Nicholas Robert Vernon Redding. Justin Sebastian Ryan. And Lorraine Bernadette Ward. And for Master of Science, Facilities Management, Richard Allen Fleck. Claire Louise Mansley. Peter Wood. And Peter Barry Wright. And for Master of Science, Information Technology Management, Abdussalam Ilzawi. And Ether Mojisolo Oganji Milo. And for Master of Science, Project Management in Construction, Khaldoon Shihab Ahmed El Tamimi. Matthew Carr. Olienka Obilanda. Sahid Adibayo Onikiku. Damian John Smith. Martin Taggart. Kanishka Varun. Venkatish Viriraga Haven. And Shi Yi Wong. And for Master of Science, Quantity Surveying, Esser Gertrude Aziati. And for Master of Science, Quantity Surveying, Mechanical and Electrical, Neil Edwards. And for Master of Science, Real Estate and Property Management, Kenneth Lawrence C. Carroll. Joan Hudson. Simon Joan Reeves. And Louise Ann Slevan. And for Master of Science, Real Estate Development, Faza Faiza Fauzi. And for Postgraduate Diploma, Construction Management, Mark Eubank. Christopher Arthur Hagan. And Andrew Map Fumo. And for postgraduate certificate, Accessibility and Inclusive Design, Terence Richard Durden.
Ladies and gentlemen, undergraduate students will be presented for their awards in groups of 3. We would be grateful if applause could take place after the final name in each group of 3 is announced. Chancellor, on behalf of Salford Business School, I present for the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Business Economics, Helen Louise Cairns, Kulako Kondi, Sarah Teresa Daly. Christopher Prescott and Oliver Wand. Further, for the Bachelor of Science with honours in Economics, Isidro Montero Avlin Keita, Gilson Costa, Paulo Jorge de Almeida. Antonieta Jose Howell Gomez, Manuel de Silva Gomez, Matthew Jefferson. Ibrahim Nala and Anum Yassin.
Chancellor, on behalf of Salford Business School, I present for the award of Bachelor of Science with honours in Finance and Accounting, Andrea Al-Bakri, Nazira Ali, Richard Allen. Orislava Antoniuk, Rebecca Belafonte, Siham Bouzidi. So Ying Chan, Man Lai Chung, George Christoforou. Rhys Davis, David Drinkwater, Maywish Alaya. Stephen Evanson, Benjamin Fish, and Christopher Hobbs. Comfort Ichuan, Louise Kay, Emma Kirby. Hong Kwan, Christy Lau, Ekaterina Ledovskaya. Suquin Liu, Wakas Mahmood, Sahar Majid. Lauren Marshall, Jonathan Martin, and Scott Miles. Ashley Mystery, Darren Moore, Anthony Moran. Alaya Mosa, Yunus Muller, Margaret Mulvler. Tosif Natha, Darshna Patel, and Rita Patel. Shahin Patel, Ryan Sharrock, Nicola Stratford. Tao Wang, Yu Sing Young, Manwai Yuan. Alicia Sajak, Michaela Zianatova and Nifang Zhu. And on behalf of Salford Business School Diploma of Higher Education in Accounting, Xian Bonny, Stacey Donnelly, Thembisa Galanje, Donald London, Natalie Lumley, Justin Mashongan Kia. Amanda McDonough, Claudine Nukundibiza and Faizan Rashid.
Chancellor, on behalf of the School of the Built Environment, I present for the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Architectural Design and Technology, Matthew Richard Anil, Nadim Mukhal, Saladin Patel. Craig Sharps. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Building Surveying, Christopher Paul Atkinson, Nicholas Atkinson, Daniel Baluk. Kieran Paul Bricky, Daniel Owen Cannon, Alexandra Louise Clark. Thomas Peter Clark, Jonathan Edward Collette, Christopher Davis. Martin Andrew Frost, Jake Andrew Goddard, Joseph John Hanley. Michael Collette, Peter Allen Lanyon, James Latham. Kelly Ann Lester, Daniel William Long, Jamie McNinch. Ahmed Nawaz, Patrick Noble, Daniel John Nutton. U.S. Adam Okaradar, Scott John Wimpney. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Construction Management, Natalie Addison, Patrick John Clark, Tony Hennessy. Robert Nathan Lanson, Christopher Kennedy, Rachel Loxham. Richard James Mosek, Richard Anthony Sutton, Ash Turner. John Richard Webber. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Construction Project Management, Javed Adam, Saad Ali, Moriam Bamisadun. Aidan James Bannon, Hardip Kumar Bansal, Sandra Berg. Sahil Shyam Duzeja, Adam Fadhil, William Maria Cornelis Hamskirk. Nicola Ayans, Umar Shahab Ismail, Usman Jalil. Vishal Joshi, Dean James Kemp, Asif Liagwad. Gary Kenneth Marsh, Mohammed Mustasum Kapil Panchal. Mutasim Patel, Paul Preston, M. Tendere Natalie Sadalaki. Ayodele Monsuru Shawnee Barrett, Jack Street, Gareth Brian Walsh. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Property Management and Investment, Louise Agapinopoulou, Bhavesh Chauham, Dimitris Chrysanthou. Andrew William Davis, Nashrin Dean, Sam Elliott. Michael Fairclough, Alexander William Holden, Benjamin Kelly. Zakaria Limbada, Bill Lindley, Siddiq Malu. Joseph Michael Milson, Vedanad Pulugadu, Richard David Roberts. Sean Sparrow, Robert Edward Stevenson, Lisa Stewart. Andrew Paul Taylor, Helen Louise Ward, Emma Louise Wilson. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Quantity Surveying, Azreel Hissam Ahmad Nourizan, Omar Ali Ahmed, Siti Sarah Amran. Richard Roy Baker, Ismail Bala, Michael Peter Barrett. David Edward Barton, Alexander B. Cole, Shaw Robert Blackburn. Laura Catherine Borrell, Andrew Bradley, James Christopher Brooke. Michael Paul Chadwick, Hishen Chen Chin, Chulian Lydia Cheong. Kieran Cox, Paul John Coyle, Gaston Daring. Sonia Odile Michelle Desloges, Paul Dobrowolski, Amir Altayev. Faisal Essa, Bihan Gan, Catherine Gibson. Neil Graham, Michael Lewis Grand, Matthew David Griffiths. Matthew Hare, Peter Michael Hartley, Kent Keith Hugh. Philip David Hill, Daniel Alexander Howarth, Abang Mohammed Houdini. Ioannis Ioannidis, Zihad Kali Javaid, Ike Pincock. Χρυσανθή Κυπριανού, Αντωνία Λίκος Κυριακού, Stephen Andrew Lang. Ming Y. Lee, Edward James McGurk, Christopher McManus. Marina Liliane Michelle Merlin, Martin Malloy, Nicholas Morrissey. Simon Moss, Jenny Mushing, Marinos Neocleos. Paul O'Hara, Nicholas Onisiforu, Maria Andrea Papanikolaou. William Roy Paul, Andrew David Pecci, Miranda K. Phillips. Nicholas Duncan Richards, Nicholas James Rothwell, Michael James Silver. Gary Joseph Smith, Christopher John Ainsworth Spackman, Anna Sang. Jian Shan Tan, Ross Peter Thompson, Kang Ting. John Trainer, Mark Richard Twigg, Louise Amanda Watson. Michael John Woodvine, Katashaya Jahaja. For the award of High National Diploma, Construction and Property, Ardinin Ahmad, Mohammed Rehman Ali, Mohammed Jamil. Andrew Omakaro, Karim Bisanji. For the award of High National Certificate, Construction and Property, James Brankenridge, Daniel Mark Leo Duingan, Richard Lee Goodwin. Sarah Elizabeth Gause, Shital Mistry, Nathan Carl Murray. Simon John Newby, Nadine O'Shaughnessy, Daniel Price. Diane Romanowska, Elizabeth Ross, Hayley Shelweshuk. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Property Management and Investment, Kevin Williams. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Quantity Surveying, Darchik Sinch. For the award of Master of Science, Corporate Finance, Rafiu Olodlaid Amusa. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Quantity Surveying, Spiros Joseph Prosula. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Quantity Surveying, Wen Yang Ng. Wei Chiang Ong. For the award of Doctor of Philosophy, Construction Property Management, Timothy Jinandum Onyenobi. For the award of Doctor of Philosophy, Construction and Property Management, Ashadli Ahmed Edwig. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Quantity Surveying, Mambololi Dr. Huhuhudu. For the Bachelor of Science with Honours, Property Management and Investment, Nadim Ahmed. For the award of Diploma of Higher Education Accounting, Cecilia Camara. For the award of Higher National Certificate, Construction and Property, Simon Hurd. For the award of Master of Science, Corporate Finance, Adewale Oluwatoyin Odegsebesan. And for the award of Higher National Diploma, Construction and Property, Mali Bashengezi.
Just before I conclude the ceremony, I would like to thank again Alan and Peter for their uplifting words, and I'd like all of you to join in a tremendous round of applause for our new graduates. Can I ask our new graduates to put their caps on, please? Can I ask you all to rise? I declare the ceremony closed.
That just about concludes today's first session at the Lyric Theatre. In our second visit, students from the Business School and the Revon Centre will be receiving their awards. There will also be 2 honorary awards given to Angie Robinson and Grant Chapman. Join me just before 1:15.